Okay, we are live.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome. I'm not seeing my screen pop up, but welcome to the fifth Sunday Ta'aleem at Masjid Warfdeen Muhammad in Houston, Texas. My name is Salima Shahid, and I'll be serving as the moderator today. Just to give a background of fifth Sunday Ta'aleem, it is we do this on the fifth Sunday of the month, so about 4 times a year, where the sisters lead the Ta'aleem discussion. And so this is our second iteration of this for 2020. Today, the topic of discussion is a lessons learned from the daily Jews reading of Qur'an in Arabic that was led by the sisters for the sisters during the month of Ramadan. And what that means is that sisters join using Zoom to get together every morning at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time to read the Qur'an together. And so our hosts for the day will kind of talk more about what they did. And so I'll go ahead and introduce them. We have our first presenter is Sister Nadia Ahmed, who is one of the widows of Imam Qasim Ahmed. May Allah be pleased with him and grant him to paradise. Ameen. And she's an executive member of the Islamic Learning Institute. She worked very closely with him over the past 25 years in strategically developing his intellectual materials to assist in the Qur'anic education for the Islamic community in association with Imam Warfdeen Muhammad, firstly, and then the world. Nadia has traveled to numerous cities across America and the British island of Bermuda to support and assist in the education and propagation of Islamic knowledge with Imam Qasim. She is currently promoting the study of the Qur'an in its original language of Arabic through the Islamic Learning Institute with online beginning Arabic classes. She believes very passionately in passing the torch of love and unity throughout the family of humans. And then our second presenter is Sister Olaya Humphrey, who is a native of New York City. Her upbringing was rich with exposure to various cultures and arts. And although she was raised in the African faith tradition, she converted to Islam or reverted to Islam at the age of 18 in Brooklyn at Masjid at Taqwa. She later moved to Atlanta to work for Emory University for nearly 10 years, where she studied Arabic. And then from there, she moved to San Antonio, Texas, working closely with our beloved Imam Omar Shakir and his dear wife, Sister Zarina. There, she provided media and event coordination and Islamic teaching. She lived in San Antonio for 17 years, where she raised 5 children. She obtained her bachelor's degree in human resource management and certifications in adult continuing education, corporate training, counseling skills, among other things. She is currently the owner of Best Foot Forward Training Transformations, a company which allows her to assist even more families, professionals, and organizations by providing training, marketing, and counseling services. Her passion is helping people leverage their human potential by better preparing them for their roles at work, at home, and in the community. In 2015, she began working with Imam Qasim Ahmed and Sister Nadia to further the Islamic Learning Institute. Soon after, she started studying Arabic with them, and soon after, she also started studying Arabic with the Mali Institute. Her relationship with the Islamic Learning Institute has since grown from marketing and website design to becoming a beginner Arabic facilitator with the You Can Learn Qur'anic Arabic program. Since moving to Houston, she has also become a working member of the Fifth Ward Islamic Center for Human Development, Muslimat Collective, and the Beginning Arabic program with Imam Abdullah Rashid. So with that, I will turn it over to Sister Nadia.
Thank you so very kindly, Sister Salima. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And first I want to begin with Alhamdulillahi Rabbi Alameen, and that is praise. All praises are due to Allah, Lord of all the systems of knowledge, because whatever good comes from us, Allah is the author of it. And so I have to put that out there first most. And also to the sisters, Salima, and the group of sisters that are consistently having the halakas and continue to keep education of the Quran and Islamic faith before the community of sisters. And so I really appreciate that, and an opportunity for them to have us to come here to share what we did specifically, but not totally, during the month of Ramadan. And I want to really talk just 3 points I want to make. And the first point is not a small point, but it comes in 2 very small sentences, as we would put it in English. You only need 2 words to make a complete sentence. That is a subject and a verb, right? So these 2 small sentences are by no means small, very, very, very significant. The first one is, and I'm explaining to you how all of this came about. The first one is, Sami'na wa ata'na. First one, we hear, and the second one, we obey. Okay, so those are 2 things that we as believers, when we respond to, when Allah inspires us with something, we have to respond to just the way the Prophet did, alayhi salam, when the angel approached him with the revelation. He had to respond to that. And so we know the story, so I'm not going to get into that. So hearing when Allah comes to us with inspiration, we have to not doubt it, not push it to the side, not say I'm too busy. You got to respond. And the second thing is, the response is the second thing. The first thing here, the second one responded. And then the third thing is, Wattaqullah wa yu'allimukumullah wallahu bikulli shay'in alim. And know that it is a reverence Allah, but it's Allah who's teaching us, and He has all knowledge. He has knowledge on everything. So when we believe in that and we trust that, and we move when Allah inspires us. And I have to say this to you to say how this all came about. Okay, so at the beginning of, before Ramadan actually started, I was in conversation with a sister who was looking for a specific program where sisters were just reading the English for the month of Ramadan. And so she said it 3 times that why don't they start one for the sisters? Because she wasn't looking for one in Arabic, particularly she wanted to just read the English. And I sit there and it kept ringing in my brain and ringing in my brain. I said, an all Arabic reading of the juice during the month of Ramadan just for sisters. And finally, when it hit me that I knew it was inspiration from Allah, and I immediately got on the phone. The first person I called was Salima. And I was so excited. And the reason why she's the first person I called is because I was excited when she talked about the tree that they started here from the sisters group, for those who had finished reading the Quran in Arabic, that they would get a leaf on the tree with their name on it. And I was just so excited about that. So of course she was the first person I thought to call with this inspiration from Allah. And of course she was excited. So we both all excited about it. I said, I haven't called Sister Laya yet because she's my real business partner. So I said, okay, so let me call her so I can let her know. And of course, when I called her, just the energy for it, the inspiration, it just all came together, and we was all just feeling it, you know. And so Sister Laya, as usual, she got busy and went to work and began creating the network for pulling it all together, and did a wonderful, excellent job. And so I'm just so thankful to be a part of it. I'm not taking any credit for anything because Allah clearly says whatever good comes to you is from Him. So this was good for the community. If it was good for the sisters, and I can say for sure it was definitely good for me and my soul, Sister Laya, and all those who were involved in it. And that's why I said first of all, we thank Allah for this opportunity to do this. And the direct connection with Islamic Learning Institute is that we had already started the program, You Can Learn Quranic Arabic. And I chose that, and all of this was inspiration from Allah. It's not something I wanted to do. In fact, I would start the classes anytime soon. But I was telling Imam Abdullah Rashid, I said, I kept getting these calls from different people saying, when you gonna start the classes? When you gonna start the classes? And I'm like, I'm not ready. And one day I was sitting thinking about it, and Allah inspired in my soul, go with what you know, and I will make you grow. And I said, wow, is that what I gotta do? Okay, and so I did that. I just jumped out there and I began the courses with You Can Learn Quranic Arabic as an inspiration and a dedication to the work of Imam Qasim, because we once had You Can Learn Quranic Arabic as a theme for the Islamic Learning Institute. So I thought that was the most appropriate thing to go with, the idea of You Can Learn Quranic Arabic. And I'm going to turn this over to my most gracious team member, partner, friend, sister, who such a lovely, lovely, wonderful person. The love that generates from her, the warmth and the kindness that generates from her. Together, we came together and we wanted to institute something that would emanate that out into the community for the sisters, because we wanted them to know, you can do this. You can do this because Allah says you can do it. Why? He says in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. And most of you all out there, you know that. You've heard it somewhere down the line that Allah says in the Quran, and certainly we have made the Quran easy to remember. But who is it that will admonish it? Who is it that will stop? Give your time, give your mind, give your energy, give yourself. Obey Allah. Sami'na wa ata'na. We hear and we obey. I turn it over to my most gracious co-partner, Sister Olaya, and she can explain other aspects of what we did this Ramadan with the juicer reading of the Quran in Arabic, which is a wonderful, wonderful program. Sister Olaya.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you so much, so very much, Sister Nadia, for just allowing me to be a part of your life and to be a part of all of this. Firstly, I want to thank Allah for everything it is that He does and everything it is that He is. Without Him, nothing would be possible. I want to also give greetings and thanks to the invitation from Masjid Waruddin Muhammad, which has long since been a masjid and a community that I admire. Quite a few, when I think of being dynamic and I think of being progressive, immediately Masjid WD comes to mind, and I've had the pleasure of working with many of the people within the masjid in one capacity or another, as well as knowing them over a period of years. So it's been natural to make this connection, this transition and this connection between myself, Sister Nadia, and this entire community. Sister Nadia is very, very, very gracious. And then again, this has been a wonderful opportunity, not only for myself, not only for her, but for the sisters this past Ramadan. We are still aglow, we are still abuzz over this experience. And many of the sisters, including myself, have said that either this has been the best Ramadan ever for them, or clearly one of the best Ramadans ever. It's showed us how much we can do. Allah says that He has made the Qur'an easy to learn, and we were experiencing together the promise it is that He said to us. We were witnessing it with our own eyes, that He would make this Qur'an easy for us to learn. But it was through learning together that we really took off. We really collectively developed to new levels. I always think about Islam, thinking about the model or the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which shows us that we are always in stages of evolution, and everything about us is a stage, one stage to the next, one stage to the next. And even looking at our stages of development gestationally in the womb, where we come from one stage to the next stage, from the clot to the lump and to the bones, and until we're brought forth as another creation. That model, Allah, that beautiful model, just keeps unfolding itself over and over again, not just then, but even now. So I felt like when we were together with the sisters in the conference or in the meetings, I felt like that too, like we were in a fixed place, a Qur'an Makin, a fixed place where we were developing and molding and moving from one stage to another, to another, to another. As we met from the first day to the last, all of us could see how much we were just learning together and being more comfortable together and reestablishing or creating new goals for ourselves together and as individuals together in order to learn Allah's word. We just made it possible. I'll be honest, I when I thought about the idea of myself, ever reading the entire Qur'an in Arabic, I thought, okay, that sounds like something maybe one day, maybe one day, maybe one day I'll do that. But then when I got to the sisters, I was like, one day is today. One day is today, can be for all of us. This is so real. This is so at the tip of our fingertips. And not only is it at the tip of our fingertips, we modeled this thing so that it's repeatable and we could do this every year. It just became so real. So the way that we did do it, we had a Zoom call every morning at 6 o'clock. And we used an online, we used a PDF, which was in the Majidi script, that was challenging because it's so scripty, as many of you know. We use this color-coded Quran that actually highlights certain things having to do with tajweed. So we picked 3 or 4 sisters every day that would be the reciters for the first hour and then the second hour. And we did guided reading using a pointer that would go from one line, from one word to the next, to the next, to the next. So as far as a collective effort, it just kind of, we didn't even design this. It just, Allah caused it to design itself. So we basically, we would maybe stop at a certain point and help a sister to maybe pronounce something a little better or point out when something might have been said incorrectly or something was missed. And we found that naturally over time, this not only needed to be a meeting, but it actually turned into a class. It wasn't intended to be a class, but like Sister Nadia said, we hear and we obey. And Allah wanted this to be a major learning platform, a major learning opportunity for all of us. So we just did what he said. We did so that we could all grow. It's that thing of the thing about the fish that you give a person a fish and you feed them for one day, but you teach them to fish and they can fish for a lifetime. So that's what we were doing, helping sisters be able to nourish themselves for a lifetime with some guidance from us that we have been blessed with from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So at this point, we're just looking to continue growing and learning together and continuing with beginning learning classes, beginning level 1 and level 2, inshallah. So we need to create a nation of people that are learning the Quran, reading the Quran in Allah's Arabic language. So inshallah, I just want to turn it back over to Sister Nadia, and inshallah we'll have some testimonials from some of the sisters that were in the group.
Thank you so much, Sister Lai. It's so well put, spoken words. It's so encouraging and so beautiful. Thank you so much. And I want to say this, that one of the things that really inspired me a lot was the morning that one of the sisters, Sister Basima, said one morning she was reading the Quran in Arabic. And her 4-year-old got up and came in and she said, Mama, she said, what is that you're saying? She said, oh, she said, I'm reading the Quran in Arabic. She said, can I learn to do that too? Oh my God. I said, that's it. That's what we want to hear. We want our babies to get it early so they can become hafiz of the Quran, and I could just see this thing just evolving into something so beautiful with the sisters, and especially the young sisters. And we had quite a few young sisters participating, that they will learn this and teach it to their children. So for me, that was like the most inspiring thing right there. Out of all the things that we did, just being there with the sisters the whole Ramadan. And I would be so tired, but as soon as 6 o'clock came and I got on that line with those sisters, I was juiced for the rest of the day. And I would go all day until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, get right back up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, get ready for study Al-Islam with Sister Fitra, all the wonderful lectures we had there. Oh man, what a time we had. So we'll take this time right now. We want to get our testimonies in so the sisters can really talk to you about a little bit about their experience and how they were inspired through what Sister Olaya so correctly said, turned out to be a class. And guess who the teacher was? Allah, wa taqullah, wa yu'allimukumullah, wallahu bi kulli shay'in alim. Allah taught all of us. We all learned something. Oh my God, it was so wonderful. So Sister Olaya, I'm gonna turn it back over to you so you can give our first testimony. That person is gonna give the first testimony for us today here, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Yes, we are going to have Sister Wa alaikum salam. Okay. Alhamdulillah, Sister Khadija has joined us. Inshallah. So Sister Khadija, and all of us are going to be muted for the moment with the exception of our next testimony or our first testimonial, which is going to be Sister Rashida. I just wanted to just piggyback once on what Sister Nadia was saying. And one of the biggest things about this has been the safe environment. All the sisters felt comfortable, and I'm sure that you'll hear some of those things mentioned or some of that spirit mentioned as they give their testimonials. It was a safe environment for them to practice whatever level they were. And I was so glad to be a witness to that and be a part of that. So Sister Rashida Muslim, you're on the line.
Okay, I have to unmute myself. Assalamu alaikum. Well, thank you for having me here. I sat down before Ramadan and wrote down some goals that I wanted to work on, and one of them was to read Qur'an in Arabic. And so I started to try to achieve that goal by signing up for Sister Nadia's class with the Arabic learning. You can learn the Quran. And I wound up signing up for the wrong class, or I was at the end of the class, but she called me and she spoke to me and she told me about the early morning readings and that I can sign up for that just to get introduced to it when I sign up for the next class. And so I did that, and it was way more than I ever expected it to be. It was phenomenal, actually. At first I listened, and then I was reading along, and then I was like, well, I could read maybe two, but I was scared. And then a lot of sisters began to volunteer, and I will say Sister Basima volunteered, and she seemed so unafraid to not be perfect that it inspired me to let go of my fears. And then I was able to volunteer and not be perfect. And my first time ever, and I've been around Arabic and Quranic reading all my life, really, and this was my first time ever reading in front of people or with people, hearing me pronounce the Arabic. And I was not ashamed of messing up or, scared or anything like that. And it was just amazing to feel that way. But it was even more amazing to read the Quran in Arabic and then hear Sister Nadia and Sister Alaya and so many other sisters recognize words and remember words. And I kind of recognize a few of them, but I was also inspired by them recognizing those words and calling them out. And it gives you like this deep connection and this deep feeling with the Quran to know those words and to know their meaning. And I don't know, it just kind of touches you somewhere differently. And so I was like, I want to keep going and keep learning words and keep learning my pronunciation and keep just this romance with the Quran, so to speak, just to keep it going and going and going. And alhamdulillah, it has really just been an epiphany in my life, to say the least. And since the class, I have been so inspired. I still get up every morning and read the Quran in Arabic. I wasn't able to read the whole Quran in Arabic for Ramadan, but I said I want to set that as a goal of mine. So I started over at the beginning, and I've been reading the Quran in Arabic every morning since we ended our classes. So, and inshallah, I'll be able to continue to do that. I look forward to the class from the Islamic Learning Institute that's coming up. And I was thinking that when that class ended, I don't know if I would want it to end. That I might just take it again just to keep going, keep going. But alhamdulillah, it was a blessing, and I am just honored to be here with everyone and to have had this experience this past Ramadan.
Sister Lai. Okay, Sister Rashida, thank you so much for that testimony. We really appreciate you sharing and having, like you said, the courage to talk about it too, after you've gone through the experience. So Sister Lai, who do we have next?
Yes, alhamdulillah. We have Sister Nadia Saeed West from the Cedar Hill area.
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah. I feel so blessed with having had this experience of working with the group of sisters to read Quran throughout the month of Ramadan. I was taking a class with Sister Nadia Ahmed, working on, reading fluency and really trying to make some improvement. And I was seeing growth in the class. And then, with Ramadan coming, I knew we were going to take a break. And when she invited me to participate in the reading in the morning, my spirit first said, wow, after Fajr and Suhoor, I like to go back to sleep. But, but I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to, commit and be with my sisters. Like it's an opportunity, to share. And I love, being with the sisters, just that whole halakha experience. And being from New Jersey and coming to Texas, I kind of hunger for that same experience and that feeling of connection. And this offered it. It was beautiful. The support was beautiful. The learning about the rules of tajweed, it was very gentle. It's such a mothering environment. It was a womb. That's the best way I will describe it. And the gentle nature of it seemed all the sisters that were involved, especially the leadership of Sister Nadia and Sister Alaya, it evolved. We all grew with it in the womb together. And, we didn't necessarily start off with being, okay, these are the rules of tajweed, but throughout the class, suddenly now we had each morning a little tidbit. It was like a little note on this particular symbol means this, or this particular letter when you pronounce the ayn and how to go about it. And just 5 minutes, that's all it took to explore that one focus area. And then we went into the reading of Qur'an. Excellent time management. I will say that. I love that. I appreciated that. And, 4 sisters read the first hour, 4 sisters read the second hour. And it was beautiful. And no matter what level you were, everyone was accepted. And, one sister one morning said, oh, I don't know, how much effort it was taking and how, oh, I'm tired and, of myself, and you must be tired of me. And we were like, no, it's like watching a baby learn to walk. I remember saying that, like, it's like watching a baby take its first steps. We're all happy to be a witness and to support that moment of growth and to watch that first toddle and to hear you get it right. Like, we're all excited. We're all sharing in this moment. There's no judgment, in the negative sense. It's just support. And I really appreciated that. And because of participating in this, I watched my Arabic grow from when I first participated, when I first started the first days to the end. And now my goal, again, I missed one day. And then there are certain days where after we get off, if we didn't get through the whole juz, we continue. So I have a few days I have to finish off. And inshallah, that is my goal this month. So I'm doing it. So inshallah, I'll be calling back. But just to share that, I watched that growth and progression, and I'm grateful to have been a part of it. It really, it was such a beautiful way to connect with the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And now to feel so comfortable picking up Quran and reading is just a joy. And I thank Allah for opening this avenue and this door and touching my heart. So Sister Nadia and Sister Alai to facilitate the way they did. And I ask Allah to continue to keep that door open and help us all to be a means of opening doors for other sisters to do the same thing, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Sister Nadia, for your very astute words and like you said, just that womb that we all were in together. And thank you for posing it like that, because it's exactly what it is, exactly what it was, and exactly what it will continue to be, inshallah. And we look forward to the day that you are going to be a part of the Institute as well, helping us along with furthering this mission, this cause. Alhamdulillah. So I want to transition over to Dr. Hajara Abdus Salam, and inshallah, if she can share with us what city she's from as well. We had sisters that were on the line with us from Pennsylvania, and Virginia, and New Jersey, as well as from Texas. So inshallah, Dr. Hajara, please
Yes,
give your testimonial.
yes, assalamu alaikum. I'm so very happy to see all of you. It's a love fest going on with us now. I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all that He has done for us. And I think we're all going to be able to reflect at the moment that our hearts were just satisfied. That we were pleased with Allah, and we pray that Allah will be pleased with us. And I have heard many of the sisters state about their striving to want to read the Qur'an in the Arabic for this month of Ramadan. So I am no different. Allah put us all in a cave, and we know the story of the cave, and we accept that. And it's a time of illumination. And it's a time of just being able to see the light, and what light is Allah turning on for us. So with this Qur'anic Arabic, it moves the heart. It really moves the heart in another direction. So we as women, I know we have a special, very special. It's not just reading the Qur'an is going to help us with our special mission. So we have to know that this is a stepping stone. This is a step in another direction. It's not just to be doing it, just to be doing it. We have a mission that we're on, and we pray to Allah that He's arming us. He's arming us for our particular roles. So every day, I looked at it that way. So I read the Quran in English during the month of Shaban, the entire Quran. Then I read it in English again during the month of Ramadan, and then read it 3/4 of the way in Arabic. So I'm finishing up my Arabic, inshallah. I still read every day, and it's almost like you miss it if you don't. It's like something's missing. You have to do it. So I'm just so blessed and so honored. And when I looked at the steps, when Allah wants you to have something, that it's Allah that's giving it to you. Okay, there's no question about it. So I thought about all the sisters that I had met at Mali, and I had met Sister Amina, and I called her just to wish her a blessed Ramadan, and she told me about this class. And I said, Allah, see, when Allah wants to give His servant something, He'll take you through 2-3 people to get it to you, and He'll get it to you right on time. And you be like, Allahu Akbar. We didn't even want to get off the phone. I mean, we're just looking at each other, just grinning and smiling, no one wanting to leave the class. Who in the world goes to a class and they don't want to leave? That's unheard of. That's just really unheard of. And it was exciting. So I would tell my husband, he said, well, how did you do today? I said, mashallah. I said, I got through a whole ayat. I got to it, but the excitement of still wanting to please Allah. See, it's the pleasure of your Lord. It's the pleasure of your Lord. You know, I feel just overwhelmed right now, just even thinking about, what Allah is going to do for us and the mission that we're going to be on. But we're going to be on it together, inshallah. I know that many of us are in different states, and it doesn't matter, because we need this in all the states, and what I'm going to do with my grandchildren and my great grandchildren, I'm going to have Zoom meetings with them, and I'm going to read the Arabic to them, you see. So then they'll be able to hear it, and I'll be able to tell them what I'm saying and to plant that seed. We have to find ways to plant this seed into our future generations of children and our grandchildren. So I thank you all so much. You're such the kindest hearts, the soothing voices. Sister Nadia and Sister Alaya, they're soothing voices. Even when they're correcting you, it's just like they're just pouring milk on you. This feels so gentle, and you feel like you're 2 or 3 years old. You're just I cannot do this, but they're so gentle and loving with you. And I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what he's given us, and we'll, inshallah, we'll not take this for granted, this opportunity of being his servants. I mean.
Alhamdulillah, we thank you. Thank you.
That was so beautiful, man.
Alhamdulillah, we thank you so much, Dr. Hajra, for just taking it a step further by also letting us know is these seeds that we do have to plant. It's not just about the sisters that were there in attendance on those days, but who else is it that needs to be a part of this as well. So thank you for that. And yes, we are arming ourselves, and who better get the sisters together and arming ourselves for this role that we have called Muslim, and more particularly Muslims. So inshallah. So inshallah, we have another speaker. Is Sister Mahasan on the line?
Yes.
Sister Mahasan.
Can you hear me?
Alhamdulillah.
Yes. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
I'm real shy, so I don't have my video on. You all will excuse me. I'm not a video user, and
It's
so
okay,
it can.
Sister Mahasan. We told you we come as you are, and we embrace you.
Alhamdulillah. So I'll have to practice getting used to this because my intention, and I'm glad I'm seeing your face, Sister Nadia, because this evolved out of a conversation you and I had yesterday. My intention is to come into the class and study as hard as I can. And as soon as I get near ready, stand up and stand in place to assist you in spreading the study of the Qur'an. I'm going to give a little background story. I won't be long. I'll try to stay to my 2 to 4 minutes. When Allah said to the universe, he said, come together willingly or unwillingly, but make sure you come together, right? Now we have busy, busy lives, as we can see. In fact, we probably run circles around ourselves. And we try to stay conscious as Muslims to the duties that we're and the obligations that Allah puts upon us, right? Because we depend on Him for guidance. And we depend on Him to help us complete our created purpose. That's probably the most uppermost thing in their mind. Oh Allah, don't let me leave here without completing what you purpose me to do. But again, we get distracted. So I had an experience during this Ramadan. It was like no Ramadan in my life. And I've been on this journey for some 40 years in Al-Islam. So it encountered me having a health crisis. I was hospitalized 2 times. One, a very serious one. Didn't know I was didn't know if I was going to make it. And that's a horrendous feeling when you have just sort of enjoyed and taken for granted all of the life that Allah gives you every day. He wakes you up. He gives you the energy to get through the day and to try to purpose your life in Him. And then we go to sleep. He takes your soul and He examines it. He does an assessment. And then if you are one of the ones that He sends it back to, that's a tremendous blessing. But the illness really had me poised on the precipice of existence. I didn't know if I was going to make it. I didn't know if this was really my time. And it was so frightening to me. So I went inside myself and talked to Allah. I said, Allah, if there is anything that you see that I would be able to do, I'm feeling that I'm incomplete. Will you just give me a little more energy, a little more life, and a little more time? And I promise you, I will look at that. I didn't know that coming to the precipice was going to be as serious for me as it is. Please, oh Allah, forgive me and help me complete my purpose in this life. And I must have said, all right, Mahatma, because everything began to turn, right? And one of the promises and things I felt most, and as I guess you would say, most embarrassed about is that if I had gone, if He had taken me at that time, I had not studied Arabic. I could not speak the language. I could pick my way through it, but it wasn't what I know the potential that Allah put in me. I was ashamed. And especially, I wanted Him to give me time and leeway to master that. I didn't want to return to Allah with my pockets filled with all the gifts that He bestowed on me in my life, and I didn't distribute them in the manner that He was expecting. And that's when a friend of mine, actually, Dr. Najira, she called me the day after I got home from my hospital. I didn't know who she was, but she befriended me. Her voice was so sweet and so soft, and I was still so frightened that I might get home and still may not make it. And as we talked, she talked to me about this class, and she said, why don't I send you the link and you come into the class and Allah will strengthen you? She said, I'm experiencing a phenomenal thing in studying Arabic. It fulfills my soul. And that's what I wanted. And that's what I needed. And because she reached out to me, with such kindness, I ended up being able to satisfy my strongest desire and strongest wish. And it is everything the sisters preceding me have said it is, in the mechanics of it, in the technology of it, in the enjoyment of it. It fulfills your soul. Arabic is the Quran is a living book given to us to be connected with living people. Let us come forward and honor the reality that Allah has offered us and study and perfect this language, because we have to remake the world and we have to teach the world. Alhamdulillah, thank you ever so much for the time.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And we are so grateful to Allah that He has given you this opportunity to stay with us and be with us, so that you could go back to Him feeling satisfied yourself, that you
Yes.
have given Him this wonderful opportunity from you learning this Qur'anic Arabic. And yes, we do have a mission. And speaking of missions, we have Sister Aisha Rashid from Houston, Texas, and she was one of our youngest sisters that was on the calls with us, or in the meetings with us. And she certainly is poised to do some great things. So we wanted to, inshallah, get a testimonial from her as well. So thank you, Sister Rashida, for being on. I said Sister Rashida. I said Sister Aisha. I'm sorry.
Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So as she mentioned, my name is Aisha Rashid. I'm from Houston, Texas. And this Ramadan has been one of the most fulfilling Ramadans that I've had. I definitely did miss, being physically with the community, but the ability for us to have Zoom calls and still be able to be with our community was just amazing for me. So I'll just tell you a little bit about me. So my father and my brother have both tried to teach me Arabic before. The main things I remembered was the alphabets. And I would at least, just randomly just recite the alphabets in song form, so I would never forget them. But unfortunately, I didn't really do much studying outside of that. But one of my desires was to always be able to learn and understand the Arabic. Our father, alhamdulillah, he always taught us to read and learn the Qur'an for ourselves, and then to also teach others. So one of my main goals and desires is to be able to read the Qur'an and understand. So at the beginning of this year, I went on Umrah. I was blessed to go on Umrah, alhamdulillah. And, I just made sincere du'as. I asked Allah, just make it easy for me to be able to understand, learn Arabic, understand Arabic, and improve my recitation. And I had also taken a class in college. I didn't mention that part, but I had taken a class in college. And that class, it was mostly focused on grammar. The professor said that he just wanted us to learn the words so that we could read anything in the Quran and understand what it was saying. So we learned a lot of the roots of the verbs. And I did learn a lot. Unfortunately, that was like 5 years ago. And I didn't really study enough. So, I'm gonna do better this time. But so one of the reasons why I felt so fulfilled this Ramadan was because after my dua, I heard that Sister Olaya and Sister Nadia were having an Arabic class. And then I heard that my brother was having an intensive Arabic class. So I was just like, well, I asked Allah and he's giving me all these opportunities. I don't have any excuses now. So I just signed up for both the classes. And then my brother ended up doing an intro-Arabic class as well. So I signed up for that one. So I did the class with Sister Olaya, Sister Nadia. Alhamdulillah, it was wonderful. And then next thing I know, they're like, oh, we're doing a juice reading in Arabic. Another opportunity to practice. So can't deny when Allah calls you to something. So alhamdulillah, it was so wonderful. I remember on the first day, so a few of the logistics changed, but in the beginning, the idea was that 5 sisters would read for the whole time. So I volunteered, and something that I did not realize is how amazing and the Arabic is, and how much work recitation takes. It's something that you don't really have an appreciation for until you actually do it. So like halfway in the class, I wanted to give up. I was just like, oh my gosh, why did I make this decision? I'm tired, I'm out of breath, I'm thirsty, and I'm fasting, so I can't drink any water. But alhamdulillah, I stuck with it, and it was 3 hours long. So the next day, I didn't volunteer to read. I kind of just sat back. But then they changed it to where only certain sisters read the first hour, certain sisters read the second hour. And I continued to volunteer. And something that, like some days, I just wanted to sit back and listen. But then something in me was like, no, you just go ahead and read. Maybe a little difficult, but you can do it. And alhamdulillah, like 1,000 times, my recitation has improved a lot. I got so many, compliments, and I had to humble myself. Be like, wow, alhamdulillah. Sometimes when we ask Allah for things, we don't even realize how many opportunities for those blessings to come true that he's given us. If I had not signed up for their class, or I had been like, oh, because I also, like Sister Nadia said, I like to go to sleep after Fajr. So if I decided I'm going to go back to sleep, I would have missed out on that opportunity. And, all I can just say, alhamdulillah, I hope Allah, blesses these sisters so much for their efforts. And I also encourage, others to take the classes and just, just put yourself out there. Sometimes you just have to put yourself out there. And thankfully, this class, as others mentioned, it was very, the environment was very, very welcoming. Like no one would be like, oh no, this is bad, you can't read anymore. It was complete opposite. And everybody was so encouraging. And I've definitely missed it now that Ramadan is over. Every morning I'm like, oh, Fajr, okay, gotta go back to sleep now. I'm not standing to read with my sisters. But yeah, I definitely appreciated it. And I just have to say alhamdulillah for y'all and thank you for this opportunity.
Alhamdulillah. And thank you so much, Sister Aisha. You have really been an inspiration to all of us. And we are so looking forward. We see the future in your eyes. We definitely see it. So we're so, your inclusion was a very special inclusion for all of us. I think Sister Nadia would reiterate the same.
Absolutely, Sister Olaya. I just want to also remind, how many more testimonies do we have?
We have Sister Naima Bey, Sister Khadija, Islam is Sister Rosa, and inshallah,
Okay.
that's it.
So I don't know if we have enough time. We have like less than 10 minutes.
Okay, so inshallah, Sister Naima, can you grace us with some words, inshallah? I know she was on the line. Sister Naima, are you still here with us? There she is, okay. It looks like her screen is frozen. So maybe while she's working that out, Sister Naima? Okay, perhaps we can go to Sister Khadija for a couple of minutes and then, oh, there she is, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, yes.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Sorry, but I had those technical issues. I'll try to be brief because I really want to hear from my sisters. First of all, thank you to you and Sister Nadia for being so gracious and loving to us. And I thank Allah for giving us a time where we could be still and we could focus on what it is that we had to do and what you were bringing to us. My original intent was to just get on and to listen, right? Oh, your sister's going to read to and the teachers and the students both so patient and sincere and encouraging to everybody, no matter what. It didn't matter if you read a letter at a time or we got to enjoy Sister Nadia's beautiful flowing recitation that just was warming to our souls. Everything was beautiful each and every time. I had personal struggles. When I was reading to myself, I thought, oh yeah, I got this and I can read with them and I can go ahead. And as soon as I had to open my mouth, I got tongue tied. But we kind of worked through that through the encouragement of others. And every morning I was eager also to get up and make salat and then come to class and be with everyone. But at the same time, I had realistic expectations. I will not get a leaf on Sister Salima's beautiful tree at the Masjid this year for reading my Qur'an in Arabic. I did continue reading in English. But now I think I began with intentions. My intentions now have changed, of course. I've always heard people talk about jumping to the other side of the page in Qur'an. And so I'm excited to try that now. My grandmother did not know the saying, inshallah, but before she said something, often she would preface it with God say the same. So along with the new class that's coming from Islamic Learning Institute very shortly, I want to get into that. I have begun reading my Quran in the mornings in the times we had before, and maybe by next Ramadan, inshallah, I can complete that and then also do some studying of vocabulary and grammar. And maybe by this time next year, I would have completed and gotten that that leaf from Sister Salima. God say the same. Thank you, everybody. Love you much, miss you much, and enjoyed you much.
Thank you
Assalamu
so
alaikum.
much.
Well, like I said, thank you,
Thank you.
Sister.
We love you too. Alhamdulillah.
You as well. Sister Khadija, are you here with us, inshallah?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
This is such a beautiful experience. Like, so I met Sister Nadia, but I'm getting to meet all of you other sisters, and what a blessing it has been for me. I'm from Harrisonburg, Virginia. I'm living in Harrisonburg, Virginia, but I'm originally from Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., and that was how I first got into the community. And so I've been on this journey for a while, since the 70s. When I first started in the Nation of Islam, I taught in the University of Islam for all this history lesson. And there was a brother and one brother that taught us Arabic out of Philadelphia. I'll never forget him, Brother Jamil. And there was an Egyptian sister that taught us Arabic when we were in the school in Philadelphia also. So, but I've always wanted to learn the Arabic. I was always kind of fascinated with the Arabic language. And of course, we're Muslim and we're encouraged to do that. And I worked, so I was just busy. I've been retired for about 1.5 years now. So my whole life is different. I've got my mother living with me. She's 95. So praise be to Allah, my intent was to be obedient to Allah and have her here in my home. And that's been challenging, but my goal is the obedience part. So I appreciate Sister Nadia and Sister Alaya because when they got this inspiration, I mean, they had a choice, they really did have a choice to say, oh no, that's too much or too hard. I'm just thankful to Allah that they agreed to do this for us. So I've always kind of been the kind of person that needed a little hand holding, in my life. And this learning Arabic and actually the speaking of it out loud, I was fearful, it's like, oh, I don't know it. And, what if I make a mistake? And, but the way that the gentleness, everybody has said, the gentleness of how you teach and the beauty of the Qur'an itself and the background that you all have around the way we're learning, it's just been a blessing. I also had an experience when I made Hajj. And, of course, the Quran, they're reciting the Quran all the time. And one of my du'as on Arafat was, oh Allah, please help me to learn learn this Arabic. And it was more to understand it, to help me understand it. I don't understand. I was like stressing, like, oh, I don't understand. And so that was one of my du'as. And when I got home, this is back in 2009. When I got home, I ended up getting to a workshop with Imam Qasim. And he introduced me to, well, it was a class, but he also introduced the concept of the sight reading, subconscious reading. And I was like, oh, how is this going to work? I mean, I was willing, I was open to it, but of course I was probably more of a disbeliever than a believer at that point. But then I thought about it, I'm sure that my best education was in kindergarten. I'm sure that was my favorite class. And so I just took it on faith, and someone had gifted me a Qur'an in Arabic, all Arabic with the juices separate. It's like 30, they were all separate little juices. It's a beautiful Qur'an. A sister from Syria gave it to me. And so I just started just going through it, just like he suggested, just going through it and reading, just like, and it reminded me of how a child learns how to read. When someone's reciting to them, they're reading it with their fingers as if they can read. You know what I mean? So it was really like this whole faith thing. And so what's happened over the years is it's become the sighting of it has become so familiar to me. And during Ramadan, I mean, it was Ramadan. So you know how it is in Ramadan, we're fasting, everything seems clearer. It's Satan is chained, it's easy. It's like we're free. For me, it's like, it's just this freedom, like there's no obstacles other than myself. So one of my big lessons was during this Ramadan, especially with the Arabic class, is to get out of my own way and, to actually read what's on the paper, read the letters that are in front of me. And you all just helped me with it so much, and just the corrections. And it was just a beautiful, and it was just so you made it a safe space for us, and then I realized that we're all in the same boat. We're all probably kind of a little apprehensive and didn't think we were far enough along, or whatever our reasons were. But I've noticed the improvement, and I've also noticed that the recognition of the letters is easier for me now. It's easier for me now. So inshallah, I'm trying to continue to read a little bit, at least every morning, and just to not get out of the habit. But I'm also kind of needing someone to say, yeah, that's right, or you didn't say that right, or and I'll end on this. One of the beautiful things about this dean that I remember experiencing was, how when someone's reciting in the masjid or in Juma or whatever, if somebody forgets, there's always somebody there to correct them and to pick up. And so I've always wanted to say, I'm sorry, I'm a crybaby, but anyway, I've always wanted to be that. I always thought, how beautiful is that everyone knows this book enough to correct each other. And that's what we're here for, to admonish each other and to correct each other. And it's just a beautiful thing. And the shares were so powerful today. And I just realized that we're so blessed in this community. Not that all Muslims aren't blessed, but I believe that we have a special mission, and inshallah we can fulfill it. So I thank you all, Nadia and Sister Aliyah. Thank you so much, and all the rest of the other sisters that shared. And inshallah we can keep it up and meet someday. And I'm sort of grateful for the coronavirus. It sounds crazy, but look what it brought. Look what came out of it for these Zoom meetings. It's really a beautiful thing that Allah had already had this in place, for whatever we need. So we always have what we need, and it's just a beautiful deed. Thank you again. Assalamu alaikum.
Wow. Thank you so very much. And we just have one other sister that wants to, if we can, just for a moment, if you can, I apologize, Sister Rosa. We don't have a lot of time, but if you could, inshallah, just give a brief testimonial. Thank you for being on.
Yes, ma'am. With the help of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Kind, my heart's desire is just to thank you and Sister Nadia for the tremendous, tremendous effort that you put forward with your kindness and your love to all of the sisters. Thank Allah for all the beautiful recitation from all of the sisters, all of the inspiration that I received, because my journey, as I shared, started 42 years ago, and for Allah to bless me in this Ramadan, making it my best Ramadan ever, to complete the reading of the Holy Qur'an in Arabic. My heart just beats so many more times per minute than ever before. And I feel the healing, and I thank Allah. I've been reading every day. I do try and have been completing every juz since our class ended and Ramadan ended. So today, inshallah, I'll be reading juz number 7. And I just thank Allah for your spirit, your love, and all the beautiful comments you gave during the class. May Allah bless you and enrich you and all of the sisters and their continued recitation. Ameen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you, my most blessed sister.
Alhamdulillah. So good to see you too. Alhamdulillah. So alhamdulillah, Sister Aliyah, is that the end of all the sisters now?
That is the end of the sisters that are giving testimonials.
We're so grateful, so thankful.
So grateful.
All here and for this opportunity. It actually means a lot to us. So we know we're over the time, so we're not going to hold. I did just kind of want to mention that the classes, and like I said, this was not something we planned at all. This was truly the we hear and we obey. And that was the spirit we moved on. But from that, Allah has blessed us. Our classes are almost filled because we only want to do so many students at a time, because we want to make sure that they get that quality attention from us, so that they can develop, at a good pace. And by the time they leave the class, so we do have the 2 classes, that beginning class. We have 2, one on Thursday, one on Wednesday evenings from 7 to 9. And then we have one on Sunday mornings from 8 to 9:30. I'm sorry, it's an hour and a half. And then the reading fluency, we don't call it tajweed, but we do learn a lot of the tajweed rules in the class. And this is purely inspiration from Allah, even to do this class, to take us to the next level. It was like the missing link from those who got the beginning Arabic, then went straight into the grammar, but they never really had the opportunity to practice reading so that you were acquired to reading fluency with the Quran and with the Arabic. So that was the inspiration for this class. And so this class is almost filled to the brim too, as to how many students we want to have. And it's going to be on Thursday evenings, tentatively from 7 to 9 o'clock. It's a 2-hour class. And then the other thing with our beginning Arabic, we're also doing a language lab. And then the language lab will be a 2-hour class, which will reinforce everything that happens in the instructional class on Wednesday evenings and Sunday mornings. And so we're really looking forward to that as a big boost for your skills and your confidence, and break those barriers down that prevent us from learning Arabic or staying with it. So we're just really excited about what we're doing, and we thank Allah for the opportunities to do this and the support of the sisters around the country in the community. So I know we're out of time, Sister Laya. I know you want to have something to say. And the other thing too, we want to just keep everybody inspired. And, you know, one of the things that, you know, Imam Muhammad introduced us to the focal arts, because he said that what they had, we needed, was how to love each other. And that is so important, to be able to love each other, for other people to feel your love. We get so much more from each other when we do that, when we give our love and we trust Allah, when we give our love to each other. And so that's what we want to inspire, the love for each other and the love for the Quran. So that's what we want to inspire. And we know if we do that, it can be passed on to others, it can be passed on down to the younger generations. And so we want to, in the end, give our leaders, all of them, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Imam Qasim, and all those who spent all those years of their lives teaching and trying to advance this community. We want to give them a good future, inshallah. And so with what we're doing here in the sisters, we wanted to continue to just spread. So Sister Olaya, we have a few minutes. I'll turn it back over to you so you can express some final words.
Inshallah, and thank you so very much, all of the sisters that are here this afternoon, sharing the experience. And you know, just as much of an experience as it was for you, it has been for me and Sister Nadia as well. We have benefited just as much, if not more, from just you know, being in your company. You know, you have graced us with your company and giving us the opportunity to see you grow as we grow. So whatever it is you decide to do, just grab a hold of your goals, which you set your goals, and just keep moving forward, and Allah will guide you. Allah will keep you on that goal. You know, He's going to give you what it is that you strive for. And we're literally bearing witness to that. So again, I want to thank Sister Nadia. This has just been a wonderful journey since the day it is that I met her, and Allah, only Allah could have crafted this relationship and this journey. Only He could have done this. She is such a remarkable person and remarkable educator. And I just feel so drawn to being a part of her life, because she is helping me to grow. And I'm witnessing the benefit of the relationship between herself and Imam Qasim, Rahimahullah alayhi. And I'm just glad to be along for the ride. So, so on that note, I'm done. And thank you, Sister Salima.
You bring so much to the table.
Oh my gosh. I'm a reflection of my sister. I'm a reflection.
Alhamdulillah. Well, where's Salima? We know we have to bring her in as we close, so that she can close that still.
Yes, so I'm here. Assalamu alaikum again. So we had a couple of questions from our listening audience, so I'll read them. One of the questions was, how many sisters participated on average, you know, a day or totality of the program?
Go ahead, Sister Laya.
Well, we had varying every day. It was a different mix of sisters, based on when they heard about the program. So we did have some sisters that joined on somewhat in the middle because they hadn't heard about it until then. But on average, we had about 20 sisters in the class every day. And the max, I think that we had in total registrants was close to about 40 sisters. So you're talking about 40 sisters mixing every day. But we were so focused with being with each other that we even wanted to meet on the day of Eid. Ramadan just was not enough. We met on the day of Eid also for just another session. So
We also had a night of power too, remember?
we had a night of power.
Everybody showcased their recitation.
Sure did. We sure did. Alhamdulillah. We had a night of power together.
So I guess these two questions are related. So it was, how do we join the Zoom meeting, and are the Quranic classes coming up just for sisters?
Okay, well, we do have a couple of brothers in most of our classes, but the majority of the participants are sisters. So we have a beginning class coming up, and you can go to www.islamicly, and that's L-I, islamicly.com, and you can register for the class, or you could call if you have more questions. You can call me at 318-762-9098. So if you have any further questions, and right now we're still running the special, it's $105, book included, for the 12-week class, inshallah. Any other questions? Somalia, you want to add anything to that?
Well, I just wanted to also say that, yes, we are teaching brothers and sisters the knowledge of the Quran. The teaching of the Quran is not exclusive. So alhamdulillah, we want to offer that to younger, older, male, female. The Quran that we did in Ramadan, that was strictly for the sisters. And hopefully next Ramadan, we'll do another round of a 30-day meeting, but we don't have anything scheduled right now where we're going to run through the entire Quran like that. We're going to focus on cycling like semesters, literally like semesters, a semester for 12 weeks, and then another semester of 12 weeks, and 12 weeks and 12 weeks. So we'll just continue that cycle. And when we're ready to do, we have our beginning level 1, beginning level 2, and inshallah, for those that are ready to move on beyond that, we do have another educator, Imam Abdullah Rashid here in Houston. That too is an educator, and he's looking to teach some of the upper levels, inshallah, the upper levels of Arabic, Quranic Arabic too.
Yes, alhamdulillah.
So that was all of the questions.
Okay, and I wanted to add too that the new book that we have, that actually I'm using that book with the, I'm sorry, I got things going on in my background. Well, I also want to use that book with the Reading Fluency class, and it's called The Recitation of the Quran Workbook. And that book is specifically designed to teach you, excuse me. Can you all still hear me? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's designed to teach you how to recite correctly the pronunciation for Al-Fatiha, and then Surah 100 through 114. Also to do a word study, and then there's questions for discussions, so that you will have an opportunity to come in group settings or by yourself to investigate those surahs, understand the content of those surahs, the occasion for revelation, when Allah sent that revelation to the Prophet alayhi salam. So it's a wonderful book, and it is on the website. You can order it if those of you who are interested, if you're not in the class, but the book is also going to be used as a part of the Reading Fluency class too. And we have color-coded Qurans for sale. We also have the little 30 juice booklets we have for sale. And those booklets, they're so good because I got the idea from watching Imam Qasim doing Tarweeh prayer, prayer. He would always read from those little books. And I thought he was actually reciting from memory. And finally, one day I saw the little book in his hand. I said, "You've been reading?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I thought you was reciting from memory all this time." So it's a good opportunity to practice. I use it for my loud prayers to continue to read instead of just using the short prayers. You can use those little booklets, you hold them in your hand, and those who can read the Arabic. So we have that, and we have a few other books on the site too, but it's new, it's growing, for the opportunity for us to expand and have other study materials there for the community as well. So I think that's all I have. I know we've gone way over schedule. And if anybody else, Sister Lawyer or Sister Salima.
If you check out on Facebook the pages, you can learn Quranic Arabic, and it has even more details about what's going to be covered in each of the classes. So that's about as much as it is that I have on that. Alhamdulillah.
Yes, and thank you again, Sister Salima, for you and all those Masjid water.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
This wonderful staff there that helps support the community. You all do a wonderful job. We're so thankful for having you and the work that you do there. So I just want to take this opportunity to say thank all of you for all the hard work you do. May Allah continue to bless us.
Ameen.
Help us to fulfill our responsibility as servants of His in this life, in this world.
Ameen.
Ameen, Ya Rabbal Alameen.
Ameen.
Ameen.
Alhamdulillah. So we have one last piece of this before we conclude. So I'm going to call on Brother Ahmed, if you can hear us.
I can.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
So, alaikum salam. So here is this is Masjid Warfi Muhammad's tree, Arabic.
I'm not sure if anybody else can see it. You might have to spotlight the video.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let's see. Sorry.
Because without me talking, it should.
Yes, I can see it.
Speaker view.
Gotcha. Let's see.
So I will try to keep talking, but you might have to just go on mute. And if I am the only one talking, then you should be able to see the screen.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I can.
Regardless of what happens. But right now, I see you. So let me know if.
I'm just trying to figure out how to spotlight your screen.
Yeah, you should be able to just click on the Ahmed's iPhone image and.
Okay, here we go. All right.
There you go.
Thank you. So just to give a very brief background of this tree, we got it in March of this year. And the thinking or the inspiration behind the tree was for to encourage our community who was striving to read the Qur'an in Arabic to complete that task so that they could add a leaf to our bare tree. And so alhamdulillah, we had about 8 to 10 people who added a leaf to the tree back in March. And so today we are going to add a few more for the sisters who completed the complete Arabic reading this Ramadan. It is so to add your leaf to the tree, you have to have read the Quran at least once in your lifetime in Arabic from cover to cover. So each person who is added to the tree, each person whose leaf is added to the tree, we put your name on the back. And so this is something that would be commemorative in our community. And the hope is that this tree eventually will be full of leaves. Inshallah, as more of us journey in the Quran in the original Arabic language. So with that.
That's beautiful, because the leaves represent the life of the tree too,
Absolutely. And so we have 2 sisters from this, and it's for anybody, so both men and women. We're spotlighting the sisters here, but if you have completed this task and you're part of the community of Imam Muhammad in Houston, please let us know so we can add your leaf to the tree. And we hope to have these ceremonies as often as they are necessary as people complete this journey, inshallah.
So we have online community.
I'm sorry?
COVID-19 has driven a lot of our programs online. If you consider yourself part of our online community, it's still okay. Just go ahead and inbox us, message us, and we will add you to the list as well.
Absolutely. So if you're here now and you're listening and you're watching and you fit that bill, let us know. We'll add you today while we're doing this. So with that, we have 2 sisters to add to the tree, or 2 leaves today to add to the tree for 2 sisters. First sister being Sister Rosa Muhammad.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Ah,
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. Oh Allah.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu
Allahu
Akbar.
Akbar.
And,
Takbir.
Allahu Akbar. Shukran.
and the next sister is Sister Rashida Muslim.
Alhamdulillah.
Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Mm, 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 mm. Thank you.
So alhamdulillah, with that, that concludes our program today. We thank everyone who has participated with us, either as a speaker or in our listening audience. We just want to remind you that Masjid Warfti Muhammad has not reopened, but we are still continuing all of our programming online with Juma Khutbah on Fridays at 1:30 Central Standard Time, and with Taleems, which are every Sunday here at Masjid Warfti Muhammad at 1:30. And you can find all of our program either on Facebook or YouTube Live at our pages are Masjid WD Muhammad, Masjid WDM, excuse me, in Houston. So with that, we thank Allah for this opportunity to present today. And we thank Allah for this opportunity to be Muslim and to serve him as he would have us serve him, inshallah. And may Allah increase us in our journey towards him and increase us in our striving to be better servants to him, inshallah. Thank you again, sisters, all of you sisters, for your wonderful presentation today. And may Allah keep us all safe and keep our families healthy, inshallah. And we'll see each other soon, inshallah. With that, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam rahmatullahi barakatuh.
Salam. Thank you so very
Thank
much.
you.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you.
Miss y'all.
Allahu Akbar.
I know.
Thank you.
Love that green.
Allah bless you all.
Assalamualaikum, sister.
It's just like our Ramadan sessions, how we
I know.
Yes.
The host will have to take us off. We can't do it on our
Let's
own.
go.
Okay, all right, assalamu alaikum.
No. Love you too.